is saying you have to read from page 281, and from the paragraph, it must also be kept in mind. Okay? Seema.
Ranga, I think we have not finished the previous para.
Is it?
From halfway we have to finish.
I was also wondering that. Last part is left over.
Okay.
Yes.
So then what we'll do, I will read, because we have already done it, so we will read.
Rangada?
Yeah, tell me.
Rangada, we have to read the last 6 to 8 lines. That is from one must lose one's little lower self. We had stopped there. We had gone over time already 2-3 minutes, so we had started.
Okay.
There is a footnote here from nature. So maybe we could do those last 7-8 lines.
Okay.
And then read the summary.
Okay.
These chapters are very important, Rangada, and we need the, hand-holding, guiding, whatever you call it.
So I'm trying to, one must. I see one must. Yeah, I got it. One must. So I'm reading from there, okay? So, one must lose one's little lower self to find the greater self. So, which is the little lower self and which is the greater self? The little lower self is your body-mind life. And the greater self is your consciousness when it enters the spiritual planes of consciousness at whatever level. Okay? It can even be at the higher mind level, which is the lowest of the spiritual planes of consciousness. It can be that also. Tarika and Jishnu, good morning and happy New Year.
Thank you.
Wishing to everybody.
Good morning, Dada. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Seema. Okay.
Good morning, Ranga. Good morning and a happy New Year to you also.
To everybody. So, we are reading from page 281 in the middle of the paragraph. One must lose one's little lower self. So, Srimad is using two adjectives, little and lower self. The lower self obviously is your body, your vital and your mind. Okay, with whom we are identified normally. And it is very little. It is very limited. Okay. We see only ourselves and we think that that's all there is. But you are not that. You are the whole universe actually. You take your consciousness out and you can identify yourself with the whole universe. And that's the greater self. The greater self is your consciousness when it comes out of your body-mind life and enters into the spiritual planes. Mind you, if you go into the intraconscient, it need not necessarily be the greater self. The greater self is necessarily, it has to rise vertically above, out. Okay, that's a way of speaking, because there is no vertical and no horizontal in the timeless and spaceless existence. There isn't, but anyway, it's a way of speaking. So greater self necessarily ascent, not entry into the deeper self. That's the intraconscient, and there also you get a lot of powers. But Srivamsa does not call that the spiritual planes of God. It's a question of nomenclature. It's a question of a word. Spiritual plane means higher mind onwards, upwards. Okay, so one must lose.
Excuse me.
Yes.
But if you feel that the higher self is the spiritual planes of consciousness, yes, but the divine presence in us, the psychic being, the divine mother in our heart, is yes, only if you go in your inner being. So isn't that more important? Because Sri Aurobindo says you have to first open to your psychic being and then only you are protected from everything else.
That is fine at the lower level. Nobody is saying that that is not important. But it is not spiritual consciousness. It does not necessarily give you knowledge. It gives you devotion and love for the divine and intimacy with the divine, which is absolutely wonderful. But you may not get knowledge. Knowledge necessarily means you have to become infinite. And infinity and oneness can come only when you go higher up, not into yourself. Into yourself you can get lot of knowledge at the lower level, but not the cosmic consciousness. You may get that, but that's not called knowledge. It gives you emotion. No, normally. Okay? So, of course the psychic is very important. Why? Because the psychic...
Ranga,
tell me.
just I want to put in a small word.
Yeah.
To Yasmin. If you read the double soul in Life Divine first part, there are 3 paragraphs where Shevin has in very details and in quite clear language explained what psychic is, what is its limitation, and what are the experiences. I was just reading it, so I thought because this question came up, I thought I would share. Double soul, there is a very long paragraph of 2 pages, and after that 2-3 paragraphs. Those I'll later give the page number. Right now I'll have to take out the book. I just thought that I'll share this. Very clear description,
No.
Ranga. I was, bowled by it.
No, that's good. I welcome these discussions because it enlarges our understanding.
Maybe for our Life Divine class, could you read it?
Yes, we can. Why not?
So we may have passed through that whole thing, but one reads and forgets.
Okay. So, Archana ji, give me the reference again and I'll read it on Thursday. So, can you give me just now you gave the reference? Chapter?
Ranga, the exact, the double soul in,
okay.
Ranga, I will WhatsApp the page number exactly.
Okay.
The paragraph and page number.
That's right. That's good.
Arshana, can you put it on this Skype?
I'll do that. I'll do that. I'll do that.
Merci.
I'll do that, Pallavi. I'll do that.
Anybody who has any other angle of view in the matter what we are discussing is always welcome. Okay? So we don't need to be that I am speaking all the time. I would like participation of everybody. Then it becomes more interesting also. Okay? It may become slower, but it doesn't matter. It becomes very interesting. Okay? So, I go to the next sentence. What Yasmin said is very true. Okay? The divine consciousness is so many things at the same time. It is not only existence, but it is consciousness. It is power. It is emotion. And you can't, a little human being, cannot get all the things at the same time. There are 100,000 doors to the divine, and you enter through only one of them. As you enter in, you can start enlarging your consciousness. That is the different matter. Then you can experience all. That is the reason why Swami is all the time wanting the highest and the most comprehensive, the most integral. He wants all the aspects of the divine. Knowledge, consciousness, okay, and participation in the works of the world. He doesn't want to escape from there. He wants all. Jnana Yoga, Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga. Okay, I go to the next sentence. Union with the divine must be the master motive. So union necessarily means a vertical climb. Okay, so you can't have union, you can have a relation. When you have devotion and love for the divine, you can have a relation. And intimacy also. And it's the most wonderful. You can get the Ananda aspect, but not necessarily the union and power. That may not come at all. Okay, so, a little bit may come. It's not hermetically sealed compartments. A little bit may come. Of course, a little bit of power also comes when you have a relation with the divine, but not the power of the supermental. One must lose one's little lower self to find the greater self. Union with the divine must be the master motive. Even the discovery of the truth of one's own being and of all being. So what does it mean? Own being, yourself. You realize that you are immortal, that you are in essence the divine himself, and of all being in the universe, outside yourself. Whatever is there, you are the universe. You are not only the divine at the highest level, but you are also the universe. Proof, cosmic consciousness. You have, when you enter into the higher levels, By the way, you need not have cosmic consciousness always. It depends. If you have gone to the highest level, it is the divine who is inward drawn. Okay, that's the Chit Ghana, inward. The divine is fully concentrated in himself, nothing to do with the universe. Okay, there's a movement which goes in, this is the Chit Ghana, and there's a movement that goes out and covers the whole universe. It is more diverse, it is wider, but it may not be intense. Okay, so there are so many things to be taken into account. Even the discovery of one's own being and of all being, life in that truth and its greater consciousness, perfection of the nature, are only the natural results of that movement. Perfection of nature comes when you go and get union with the divine. Then perfection of the nature. Which is the nature? Your body, your mind and your life. Okay? They don't become perfect normally in a liberation. When your self, your consciousness goes out and becomes the self or the Brahmic consciousness, and you see the oneness of things, you need not be subject to the perfection of the body-mind life. The body-mind life continues with its own old mechanical and ignorant ways. Desire may still be in the body, and attachments may still be in the body, body-mind life, and even ego will be there. But you are free. That's when you climb to the higher level. But that's not enough. You have to go even higher up and merge into the divine. And that is the reason why there are so many different philosophies. When you merge into the divine, then you realize that you are essentially the divine. This is the Advaita philosophy. But when you have a separate individuality and you find that you have a relation with the divine, okay, you are enjoying his company, you are enjoying his love, then that is but you are separate. So that's a Madhvacharya philosophy. Duality. You are different from the divine, but you can have a wonderful relation with the divine. And there is Ramanuja's philosophy which says that you can merge also, but at the same time you can also have a relation. Advaita, Vishishta Advaita, and duality, dualism, Dvaita. Okay, so all these philosophies are true in their own way because you are approaching the divine with a very limited consciousness. And all are valid. They are not invalid. But Srimad wants all of them together by going to the highest level. So, even the discovery of one's own being and of all being, life in that truth and its greater. Life means in the physical world, our life. In that truth and its greater consciousness, perfection of the nature are only the natural results of that movement. Which movement? Union with the divine. Okay? Otherwise, you don't get the perfection of the nature. Indispensable conditions of its entire consummation, they are part of the central aim only because they are a necessary development and a major consequence. Okay? So, simply saying that your absolute entire consummation, successful completion, is possible only when you merge with the divine. And when is that possible? At the supramental level. Now he is warning you in the next paragraph that supramental change is not that easy. Okay? So that's what we come to the next paragraph. Alright? So, or we can do one thing, as Archana suggested, I am reading the summary of what we just now read, and then we'll go to the next paragraph. Okay? So, I am reading the summary. The essential aim of the integral yoga, not other yogas, of the integral yoga is union of the individual soul with the divine. This is most important, and one must not get sidetracked into relatively minor issues. The integral yoga seeks the divine not to possess the supermind, but to enter into the divine integrally. The supermind, of course, must be sought not for its bliss and power, but only because this union makes perfection possible. Perfection of body-mind life. And then that union makes possible a divine dynamic life in the world, then you have a power over the body-mind life. Otherwise, no. Liberation gives you knowledge and freedom, but not necessarily perfection. Okay? The supermind, of course, must be sought, not for its bliss and power, but only because this union makes perfection possible. And then that union makes a divine dynamic life in the world. Note the word dynamic. That means you are participating fully in action of the body-mind life in the world, and it is perfect. And not perfection again is relative, remember. Okay, so divine life in the world, and not merely a static spiritual attainment. What is a static spiritual attainment? The Brahmic consciousness or the consciousness of the self, where you are only a witness and not a participant in the action in the physical world. You are only a witness. Not merely a static spiritual attainment far above the earth, which is our field of action. The supermind makes the dynamic life into a perfect image of divine knowledge, love, power and bliss. It's a serious mistake to think that the integral yoga aims at merely supermanhood, because that idea will lead to pride, vanity, ambition of the Rajasic vital mind. That can cause a disastrous downfall. Bhrashta yogi, as they say. Okay? The active parts of man, active parts, body, vital, and mind also. Mind is also an active. Movement is there in the mind. Active parts of mind usually seek the power of action. It's the nature of the vital. We want power of action. And unless the vital in man is preemptively purified, it leads and casts down the soul. So, that is what the vital in man must be preemptively. Preempt, you know what the word preempt means, huh? Preempt means to take action, remedial action, before the thing happens. That is preemptive, okay? For instance, arresting a man because he is going to make a crime is preemptive action. You prevent him from doing that action. So, what is the psychic being's value is preemptive action. The psychic being purifies the being, purifies the vital, purifies the body also to a certain extent, and purifies the mind. And that purification usually is all the animal stuff in you, it comes out. Okay? It comes out, and that's why normally when this process goes on, there is usually some sort of what you would call an illness. It can manifest in you like an illness. So you have to undergo that. Okay? Mother also had to undergo that. Okay? There was so many things like that. So, I'm just giving a hint. That can cause a serious downfall. The active parts of mind usually seek the power of action. Okay? It's the nature of the vital. And unless the vital in man is preemptively purified, it leads and casts down the soul. Power comes inevitably with the rise into the spiritual planes. And it is even more intense in the supermind, and hence this salutary injunction. Injunction, advice. And salutary, beneficial. So, what is that advice? The supermind is very far away. First, purify yourself, and then only you can rise. Self-fulfillment is the aim, not a spiritual greatness of the individual. Indeed, self-fulfillment. Okay? You must be able to fulfill all the demands of your whole being. The fulfillment of the body, fulfillment of the vital, fulfillment of the mind. Okay? And we can repeat also, what is the fulfillment of the mind? Knowledge, no ignorance. What is the fulfillment of the vital? Exactly what it wants. It wants power, domination. Okay? Become a king. And that is very valid, but without ego, attachment and desire. It can do that. Then what about the fulfillment of the body? No disease, no subjection to death. Eternal health. Okay? That's it. So fulfillment is the aim, not a spiritual greatness of the individual. The integral yoga requires perfection Because it demands a putting on of the divine nature. Because you can't put on a divine nature with your body, mind, life unless it is pure. So that's the function of the psychic being. Sadharmi mukti. There are many types of muktis, okay? Sayujya mukti, union with the divine. Sadharmi mukti, you put on the nature of the divine. Salokya mukti and samipya mukti. Samipya, nearness, intimacy with the divine. Salokya mukti, you live in the same world as the divine, but you are separate. So many different types of muktis. This is the essential principle of the integral yoga. What is the essential principle? Perfection at all the levels without neglecting the body, mind, life. So naturally it's a very far off aim. Okay. So the integral yoga requires perfection because it demands a putting on of the divine nature. Sadharma mukti. This is the essential principle of the integral yoga. All else is of secondary importance. The complete loss of normal ignorant nature at level 1 is absolutely necessary for the integral yoga. All the other results of the yogic ascent, like the discovery of one's own truth, realization of knowledge, love, power, are all results only and can never be the main aim. Never be the main aim. Okay? So, and he is talking away the essential principle of the integral yoga. So, this is what he has said in the previous time. Now we can read the para that we have to read now. Okay, so it must also be kept. So one of you has to read. Who will read? Somebody has to read.
Ranga
Okay, Jishnu.
I can read, Ranga.
Jishnu, you can read. Okay? You have not read her on. It must be kept in mind.
It must also be kept in mind that the supramental change is difficult, distant, and ultimate stage. It must be regarded as the end of a far-off vista. It cannot be and must not be turned into a first aim, a constantly envisaged goal, or an immediate objective. For it can only come to the view of possibility after much arduous self-conquest and self-exceeding. At the end of many long and trying stages of a difficult self-evolution of the nature, one must first acquire an inner yogic consciousness and replace by our ordinary view of things, natural movements, motives of life. One must revolutionize the whole present build of our being. Next, we have to go still deeper, discover our veiled psychic entity, and in its light and under its government, psychicize our inner and outer parts. Turn mind nature, life nature, body nature, and all our mental, vital, physical action and states and movements into a conscious instrumentation of the soul. Afterwards, concurrently, we have to spiritualize the being in its entirety by a descent of a divine light, force, purity, knowledge, freedom, and wideness. It is necessary to break down the limits of the personal mind, life, and physicality, dissolve the ego, enter into the cosmic consciousness, realize the self, acquire a spiritualized and universalized mind and heart, life force, physical consciousness. Then only the passage into supramental consciousness begins to become possible. And even then, there is a difficult ascent to make, each stage of which is a separate arduous achievement. Yoga is a rapid and concentrated conscious evolution of the being, but however rapid, even though it may affect in a single life what in an unassisted nature might take centuries and millenniums or many hundreds of lives, still all evolution must move by stages Even the greatest rapidity and concentration of the movement cannot swallow up all the stages or reverse natural process and bring the end near to the beginning. A hasty and ignorant mind, a too eager force easily forget this necessity. They rush forward to make the supermind an immediate aim and expect to pull it down with a pitchfork from its highest heights in the infinite. This is not only an absurd expectation, but full of danger. For the vital desire may very well bring in an action of dark or vehement vital powers, which hold out before it a promise of immediate fulfillment of its impossible longing. The consequence is likely to be a plunge into many kinds of self-deception, a yielding to the falsehoods and temptations of the forces of darkness, a hunt for supernormal powers, a turning the divine to the asuric nature, self-revelation into an unnatural, unhuman, and undivine bigness of magnified ego. If the being is small, the nature is weak and incapable, there is not this large-scale disaster, but a loss of balance, a mental unhinging, and a fall into unreason or vital unhinging, and consequent moral aberration or a deviation into some kind of morbid abnormality of the nature may be the untoward consequence. This is not a yoga in which abnormality of any kind, even if even it be an exalted abnormality, can be admitted as a way to self-fulfillment or spiritual realization. Even when one enters into supernormal and suprarational experience, there should be no disturbance of the poise which must be kept firm from the summit of the consciousness to its base. The experiencing consciousness must preserve a calm balance, an unfailing clarity, and order in its observation, a sort of sublimated common sense, an unfailing power of self-criticism, right discrimination, coordination, and firm vision of things. A sane grasp on facts and a highly spiritualized positivism must always be there. It is not by becoming irrational or infrarational that one can go beyond the ordinary nature into supernature. It should be done by passing through reason to a greater light of superreason. This superreason descends into nature and takes it up into even while breaking its limitations. Reason is not lost, but changes and becomes its own true unlimited self, a coordinating power of the supernature.
A very big para and very, very clear, and there are a lot of things to be discussed here. We have to be very clear about his language. Okay, so we have got time. We have got about 12 minutes, maybe a little more than that. Okay, so we'll start. So I am reading each sentence and we'll stop wherever necessary. Questions are welcome. It must always be kept in mind that the supramental change is difficult, distant, an ultimate stage, an ultimate, final, not penultimate stage it is not, okay? You have to go through higher mind, eleventh mind, intuitive mind, overmind. And after overmind, then Srivanga came to realize that the supermind is even higher up. Then that is the reason why he withdrew and concentrated for so many years, 1926 onwards. Okay, so overmind consciousness descended into him. Actually, the Krishna consciousness, the Krishna himself descended into Srivanga's body. Okay, that is why the perfection of the body and vital and mind started at that time, much greater than what we had already achieved earlier. So, ultimate stage, it must be regarded as the end of a far-off vista, okay, very far off. It cannot be and must not be turned into a first aim, a constantly envisaged goal, or an immediate objective. This is exactly, it reminds me of the letter to Amal Kiran. Amal Kiran said that in our yoga, we can keep the our aim as a supramental transformation. So Srimata told him that yes, that's true, but that's a very far off idea. First you concentrate on rising out of the body-mind life and go to the higher mind level. It's a very far off thing. So your immediate objective cannot be the supermind. The immediate objective must be to get rid of your ignorance and rise to the higher levels of consciousness. So now Srimata is telling how to do that. For it can only come into the view of possibility after much arduous self-conquest and self-exceeding. Self-exceeding, getting out of your body-mind life. The clutches of body-mind life on you must be loosened. Okay, all the knots must be loosened and the consciousness must come out of your body-mind life. At the end of many long and trying stages, very difficult stages of a difficult self-evolution of the nature. Nature, remember, your outer nature of body-mind life. One must first acquire an inner yogic consciousness and replace by it our ordinary view of things, natural movements, motives of life. So, what are the natural movements and motives of life? Ordinary view of things, I see the physical world and think it is real. I see everybody and think that they are separate from me. That's the ordinary view of things. Natural movements, the body's natural movements are movement all the time. And natural movement of body is usually tamas. It wants to always enter into the darkness. It wants stability. Motives of life, very clearly, three motives of life. Attachment, ego, and desire. These are the motives of life. One must revolutionize the whole present build of our being. The present build of our being is again body-mind life. Okay. Next, we have to go still deeper, discover our veiled psychic entity, and in its light and under its government, psychicize our inner and outer parts. Inner parts, the subtle body, subtle vital, and subtle mind. Okay, these are the inner parts. And the outer parts, the gross body, the gross vital. Archana spoke of the double soul. So the double soul, there is an inner soul and an outer soul. The outer soul is the life, the vital. Turn mind nature. And what is the nature of mind? To always jump at conclusions and be hasty in judgment. Okay? And life nature. Life nature we have just now discussed. Mind nature, ignorance. Life nature, perversion of the being. Okay, mostly. Body nature, tamasic nature. And all our mental, vital, physical action and states and movements into a conscious instrumentation of the soul. They must become obedient instruments of the soul, body, mind, life. Afterwards or concurrently, because these three steps can often overlap each other, and part of it may start at the highest level and the lower level. So it's not like a staircase. Okay? The higher can manifest itself partly in you. That's a spiritual experience you can have. So afterwards or concurrently, we have to spiritualize the being in its entirety. Note the word entirety. By a descent of the divine light, force, purity, knowledge. Note the word descent. You can also ascend. Okay? You can go up yourself. But if you ascend, the body-mind life remains imperfect. But only a descent of the divine life, force, purity, knowledge can bring perfection to your lower body-mind life. So there is an ascent which has to be done, but there is also a descent. The divine must himself come down. Okay? Freedom and wideness. It is necessary to break down the limits of the personal mind, life and physicality. So, very clear, personal mind. Because there is a universal mind also, and you have to enter into the universal mind to get rid of your limitations. But you have to do very clear the words are very clear. Limits of the personal mind, life and physicality. So, personal mind, your individual mind. Life, your individual vital. And physicality, your individual body. Dissolve the ego. This is what you have to do by bringing the psychic forward. Dissolve the ego. Enter into the cosmic consciousness. Realize the self. Acquire a spiritualized and universalized mind and heart. What is the universalized mind and heart? The cosmic consciousness. You feel yourself to be one with everybody, or you may also feel that everybody else and everything in you is in you. Okay? There are two types of cosmic consciousnesses. One is the outward going and one is the inward coming. Okay? The outward going is you feel yourself to be one with everybody else. Whatever you see outside, you feel it is in you. And the other one is that you see everything is either in you or you are in everybody. Okay? That's a cosmic consciousness. Realize the self. Acquire a spiritualized and universal mind and heart. Life force, physical consciousness. Even physical consciousness has to become absolutely perfect. In other words, what happens? Your body will feel one with other bodies. If you remember, these are only words, but if you give that example of the yogi who was watching an animal being beaten and the whip marks on the animal's body appeared on his own back. So that's the cosmic consciousness of the physical consciousness, the physical body. You can become one with that. Okay. What is happening elsewhere will have an effect on you. Okay, so then only the passage into supramental consciousness begins to be possible. So in other words, you have to first purify your outer being by psychicizing it. Then you have to rise. So first is widening, entering into the intraconscious and the psychic being. It's horizontal movement into yourself. And then the vertical movement, you have to go up into the higher mind first, then the living mind, intuitive mind, and finally over mind. And then only you can climb into the very, very far off aim, very far off. Then only the passage into supramental consciousness begins to be possible. And even then, there is a difficult ascent to make, each stage of which is a separate, arduous achievement. Every level that you climb up is like, you remember that ascent to truth, mother's drawing, all rocky and narrow path. It is that difficult. Okay? Remember that picture of mother which she drew. To make each stage a separate, arduous achievement. Yoga is a rapid and concentrated conscious evolution of the being. But however rapid, even though it may affect in a single life what in an unassisted nature might take centuries and millenniums or many hundreds of lives, still all evolution must move by stages. You can't have double promotion, not possible. Even the greatest rapidity and concentration of the movement cannot swallow up all the stages or reverse the natural process and bring the end near to the beginning. You can't do that. No shortcuts. That's what Shraddha is saying. If you try to take a shortcut, very dangerous. He is telling you what the danger is afterwards. A hasty and ignorant mind, a too eager force easily forget this necessity. Impatience, absolutely taboo in a spiritual life. Impatience is the most dangerous thing. A hasty and ignorant mind, a too eager force easily forget this necessity. Okay. They rush forward to make the supermind an immediate aim and expect to pull it down with a pitchfork from its highest heights in the infinite. You know what a pitchfork is, no? It's an instrument with a long stick, and at the end there are three iron things that come out, like a pitchfork, like a trishul, okay? And you use that for taking down the harvest, okay? The either rice or wheat or whatever, from the highest level you bring it down to the lowest level for threshing, okay? So that's a pitchfork. So you can't do that with the supermental being from its highest heights in the infinite. This is not only an absurd expectation, but full of danger. But the vital desire may very well bring in an action of dark or vehement vital powers, which hold out before it a promise of immediate fulfillment of its impossible longing. Okay. This is the danger. The consequence is likely to be a plunge into many kinds of self-deception. Now, this self-deception is a very, very highly interesting thing. You are constantly deceiving yourself with the vital. The nature of the vital is that you always think yourself to be much more than what you are. You have to be very, very honest and ruthlessly cruel to yourself to actually look into yourself and see what the faults are. Okay, very honest look into yourself. You will see how the vital is playing the charlatan. It is deceiving you at all levels. Okay? Very, very subtly. So, the self-deception starts at the lowest level in a very large manner, and as it keeps going up, self-deception is there even in the spiritual planes. That's why there can be a fall and brush up. Okay? So, self-deception, a yielding to the falsehoods and temptations of the forces of darkness. Okay? It's already 8:40, but I'll just finish it. Okay, so, darkness, a hunt for supernormal powers. You want all this power. A turning away from the divine to the asuric nature. Powers come and you want to use the powers with an egoistic consciousness, that is asura. A fatal self-inflation. Okay? A blowing yourself up into an unnatural, unhuman and undivine bigness of magnified ego. Note the word unnatural and unhuman, not inhuman. Inhuman means cruel. Unhuman means not human but asuric. Okay. That's it. The assent to correct. Okay, sure. So, a fatal self-inflation. Your ego inflates, it blows itself up into an unhuman and undivine bigness of magnified ego. If the being is small, the nature weak and incapable, there is not this large-scale disaster. So the more vital, stronger vital you have, it is wonderful, but it's also most dangerous. So, but if you are weak, then that danger is not there. But you can't climb. So each one has got its own characteristics. But a loss of balance, a mental unhinging, and fall into unreason, or a vital unhinging and consequent moral aberration, or a deviation into some kind of morbid abnormality of the nature, may be the untoward consequence. Untoward, unhappy, and undesirable, and usually negative, untoward consequence. This is not a yoga in which abnormality of any kind, even if it be an exaggerated abnormality. So what does Ranga mean by exalted abnormality? He means the four phenomena that are quite common in, not common but well known in yoga. You become jadavat, or unmattavat, or pishachavat and balavat. We can discuss that some other time, but this is there. You are in a higher consciousness, but the lower parts are still not yet perfected, so you can end up in these phenomena. Jadavat. Outwardly you are like a stone, not moving at all. Or unmattavat, madness. Or pishachavat and balavat, like a small child. We have had some examples in the ashram also. We will discuss that next time if necessary. Can be admitted. So these abnormalities are not allowed. Although it's a higher consciousness, is not allowed in the integral yoga. As a way of self-fulfillment of spiritual reality. Even when one enters into supernormal and supra-rational experience, there should be no disturbance of the poise, which must be kept firm from the summit of the consciousness to its base. Okay. An unfailing clarity and order in its observation, a sort of sublimated common sense, a spiritual common sense, an unfailing power of self-criticism. Note that. Okay. You must be able to criticize yourself ruthlessly. You must be honest with yourself. Very rare in human beings. We are always looking at our own positive points and we are always looking at negative points in others. It should be exactly the opposite. Right discrimination, coordination and firm vision of things, a sane grasp on facts, a very healthy grasp on facts, okay, facts, and highly spiritualized positivism. What is positivism? A material consciousness. Positivism is to think that matter is the only reality, but in other words, you should not be like the ascetic who thinks that matter is unreal. You should think that matter is real, but spiritualized reality, not the way we look at matter. Okay? So, they're very interesting. High spiritualized positivism. You must not lose your footing on the physical world. You must have very, very sane and healthy attitude towards the physical world. Not reject it. Must always be there. It is not by becoming irrational or infra-rational that one can go beyond ordinary nature into supernature. It should be done by passing through reason to a greater light of super reason. Step by step you have to go. This super reason descends into reason and takes it up into higher levels even while breaking its limitations. Reason is not lost, but changes and becomes its own true unlimited self, a coordinating power of the supernatural. It has to be very, very common sense. Simply use the word spiritualized common sense. Okay. Sublimated common sense. So there you are. Very interesting, very big para. It's full of suggestions and exactly what is to be done. So that's why you come back to the Srendra's concept of the triple transformation. First transformation necessary, psychicization. Second, the ascent into spiritual consciousness, spiritual transformation. First, psychic transformation. Second, rising into the higher levels, spiritual transformation. Finally, the supervital transformation. Very, very sane and very, very stable and orderly ascent. Not a disordered and inharmonious going here and there and rising. This is what Shelby is. So, if there are any questions, we'll take it up next time because I went quite fast. But another error, this is what we'll do next time. Okay? And we will also, I think Jishnu put up that picture of the ascent of consciousness and Archana Ji has to give the reference to that passage of the psychic being, double soul. Okay?
I've given in the chat.
Okay.
I've put it up in the chat and I've also sent it to you by WhatsApp.
Okay. So I'm sorry, I have gone nearly 10 minutes beyond the limit today, but the flow of the text, let's finish it. Okay, Happy New Year to everybody. Have a nice day.
Thank you, Rangada. And Happy New Year, everybody else. Everybody.
Thank you, Ranga. Happy New Year to everybody.
Okay.
Thank you.
We'll meet on, next year we will meet on Thursday.
Thursday. Thank you, Rangada.
Au revoir, everybody. Kiran, give my best wishes to Jayant also.
Yes, Rangada. He's here only. He's attending the lecture.
Jayant, show yourself. Switch on your camera.
Yes, Rangada. Switch on.
Oh, there you are.
Rangada. How are you?
Happy New Year, Jayant.
Yes, thank you, Rangada. Happy New Year to you also.
Thanks so much. Okay.
Yes. Okay.
Au revoir, Rangada.
I'm closing. Kiran, to you also. Don't think I'm expecting you.
Yes, Rangada. Thank you very much. Okay, Rangada. Bye.
Bye, Rangada.